Hey everybody, good morning. It is 7:59. Good to see you. It's your friend James Shaw. Thank you so much for choosing to wake up and well be here. You chose to wake up. That's good. Some days that's what we celebrate. That you just chose to wake up. Julia, that might be the thing we celebrate today. We just chose to wake up today, which is good. Yeah, we're here, back and better than ever. And we're going to get after it. It is listing month inside of Pivot Shift Ahead, and this week is dedicated to your listing presentation, your listing appointment. So that, listen, if you're sitting there at the kitchen table, shouldn't you walk away with a signed listing agreement on the ones you want to take? I mean, you're there, right? Get your sign in the yard, get it priced appropriately, and get it sold. And today we're going to talk about what are the data points that you're using? How are you helping sellers understand the market so that A, they know that you know what's going on. B, they'll take your advice. C, you get it priced right and get it sold, cash money records in your pocket. That's what we're looking for. Before we do that, a couple of Tell Me Something Goods. Lynetta Smith, good morning.
Good morning, James. How are you?
I'm doing great. How about you? I
I
chose to
am
get
doing,
up. So
I'm
did you.
doing well. Yes, I did get up. Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. I don't normally share, but I did want to share just my journey, I guess, real quick. I'm with Keller Williams. I'm in the Ballantyne office. I've been licensed for a little over a year, and I've been plugged into the call since August. It's such a great depth of wisdom on these calls. And I closed on my first buyer transaction yesterday. I have a listing that it received a cash offer the next day. And we're scheduled to close on July 8th. I have a buyer who's to close on July 28th. And I have two listings that will go live July 10th. So if I can give any newer agents courage, stay consistent, do the work, meet people, build relationships, and it'll all come together and you'll build momentum.
I'm so proud of you. I'm
Thank
so
you.
proud of you. This is the point of what we do in here is that when you get on and you're on consistently and you listen, there's a lot of ideas shared and not all of them are for you, but when you take, oh, that's a nugget. Oh, yeah, that's a tweak I could make. And you add that to the business, then all of a sudden, it might take a minute, right?
Right?
But all of a
But all of
sudden,
a sudden,
here it comes. Lisa,
absolutely. I agree 100%. Thank you so much, James.
proud of you. Well done. Brett and Alice, good morning.
Good morning. Hey, today marks 47 years ago that I met Brent.
Oh, that's so cute.
I know.
I asked her to dance at Disneyland. It's been a fantasy land ever since. So,
Oh my gosh. Is that really true? He asked you to dance at
Yep.
Disneyland?
Yep.
Put it in the chat. Is that the least surprising thing you've heard that Brent and Alice met at Disneyland and he asked her to dance 47 years ago today?
The craziest thing is my back was toward him. He didn't even see my face. He just tapped me on the back and I turned around. It was him.
Well, you know what that means.
yep.
Congratulations. I love it. Benny, good morning. You got to come off mute, friend.
Okay, is that better?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I was trying to type in that I was from Orlando, but man, I really appreciate you guys so much, man. You're worth your weight in gold I'm telling you. Listen, after being a realtor for almost 5 years here in the Orlando area, my wife, this past Saturday, James, she's a pharmacist, and about 10 years ago, she's been talking about getting her real estate license. So this past Saturday, for the past 3 weeks, she's been studying. It's like drinking water from a fire hose. We were in a car wreck, and I'm forcing her to do the physical therapy 3 times a week. She said, "I don't have time for this." I'm like, "Listen, you're injured. We got to do this physical therapy, and she was very upset, but she continued studying, and when she took the state exam, she didn't take it the way, I was trying to help her out, but she has her own way of learning. But she first time around, she passed it. She knocked it out the park. She's part of that 1%. I think that if you get your real estate license, first time is like part of a 1% club, something like that. But I am so excited for her and just waiting to see, what's going to happen.
She's going to get it done. That's great news, Benny. Thank you so much. Glad you're on. Congratulations to her. Hope she's doing all right, too. Let's get after this morning. We are all about taking listings. We've dedicated the entire month to it, and we've got 2.5 weeks to go. We're going to run into July on this stuff because I want you to own the inventory in your marketplace. When you own the inventory in your marketplace, more leads come your way. If you think about it, every listing you take should bring you a buyer who buys and a seller who sells. And so if you can get that kind of momentum going into the second half of the year, really great things are going to happen. Now, week 1 of June, we covered filling up your pipeline. Week 2, we talked about that time, getting to the table, getting from lead to table. This week is all about being at the table, your listing appointment and your listing presentation. And one thing I think a lot of us are using right now are data to help explain the market and what's going on, because there is uncertainty out there, and I do think that sellers and agents, quite frankly, are a little bit confused. National headlines are not helpful right now. First of all, they don't give the full perspective. It's like saying that the high today in the United States is 75 degrees. That does not tell the story of what's going on, but it is the story that most sellers are starting with, is a national headline story. A lot of them are listening to their neighbor's expertise, but their neighbor, they think that what their neighbor did was 2 months ago when it was really 2 years ago. So they get confused about that. And then they just have a fear of making a mistake. If they underprice it, could they end up underselling their home and they want to test something a little bit higher? What if they hire the wrong agent? What if we don't have an open house every week? They're just worried right now of mistakes. And so we have to help teach them about what's going on in the market and show them we're the expert. And I think that there's 3 key categories of data that we show, right? Market activity, which is days on market, actives versus pendings, year over year change in inventory, it's up in every state. Inventory is up in every state year over year. Then we got to talk about pricing and positioning. List to sale price ratios, looking at different, remember in Bold, we used to do the TMO, total market overview, where we broke it down by price point and what is month supply in each price point and absorption rate in each price point. That would be a really good strategy to use. And then are you looking at your own results? What's the market's list to sale price ratio versus yours? What are some success stories you've had in specific neighborhoods? Before and after pricing examples. I think we've got to use data in some way. Now, some of you have sent me some. So Lee and Matt and Tulio, get ready, because I want you to walk through some of this stuff. Lee, I'll start with you because you sent me this. Tell us about this one we're going to look at.
So this is prepared for when we go to the listing appointment. And this seller was debating whether it was a good time to sell right now or wait. And by showing him what the market is right here, you can see that the average list price is one number and the average sale price is higher.
Yeah.
Same thing for the medium list and the medium sale. Now, if you look at the next slide down.
Well, by the way, real quick, this is a pretty hot market. It was 16 days of market at $1 million.
Right. And
Yeah.
I wanted you to look down because last year at this time, it was 23 days to get it under agreement. And the average sale price and list price was, a lot lower than what it is now. So I said, what are we waiting for? We got to get on the market ASAP.
This is a great example of what's happening nationally is not a reflection of what's happening locally. And in fact, what's even happening in Massachusetts isn't an example of what's happening in this specific neighborhood. And what's happening in Boston may not be an example of what's happening in this neighborhood, but you're able to tell a story, price it appropriately, and get it sold. I love that. Tulio, let's go to yours. You sent me something too. I'm going to open yours, but tell us a little bit about this golden story backed by data.
All right, so we all know the pricing pyramid. I think a lot of us use it in our pricing discussions with people, and I do that as well. But I think it's hard for some folks to take that in and to really, even have the courage to price things below the market. So what I'm backing it up with is a real story, and this is not my listing. Actually, one of my clients noticed this property in an area I don't really serve. It's pretty far away from me, but it's in Golden, Colorado. They noticed a house that was priced at $450,000 in an area of Colorado where $1 million is like almost the starting point. So this house was originally priced at $950,000, and their agent saw that within the first week, nothing was happening. And that agent convinced them to do one of the most remarkable price reductions I've ever seen. Got them down to 450,000. And because of that, I called that agent and said, "What's going on?" And I figured it was strategy. And she said, "It's strategy." And I said, "Okay, well, my client can't break 600,000. She said, "Tulio, if your offer doesn't start with an 8, don't even waste your time. I'm sitting on 13 offers already." So this is just a real life example of what a remarkable price reduction will actually do in the real world. And I used it a week ago. I didn't get a 50% price reduction. I got a $20,000 price reduction on a $470,000 house, but it did the trick. It got the house under contract within 1 day in that price point, doing a $20,000 price reduction. When I presented this to my client, I said, "I don't expect you to chop your price in half, but I just want you to look at this story and let it sit in you, okay? And give me a call back and let me know what you're willing to do." And she said, "Gosh, I was going to do 5,000, but I'll do 20." And it got sold within a day. So I think the story is important, sharing a remarkable story.
It's a great story, great strategy by the agent, by the way. This is something that, and Gary says this in Shift, and I think it's a reminder I'll probably post in the Facebook group sometime this week, that pricing is really more about strategy and less about value. It is a strategy conversation, not a value conversation. And sellers are looking at the value, and unfortunately, most agents are looking at the price through the eyes of a seller and not the eyes of a strategist, about someone. I don't even know, is that a word? Did I just make that up? Is strategist a word, Julia? Can you look at it? Is it? Okay, cool. You went to USF, so you would know. So is there strategy around where you were putting this list price? In this case, that agent might want attention. Let's drop it so drastically that all of a sudden people go, "We can't pass this up." And that backs up the point I make all the time. It's impossible to underprice a home because the market will make up the difference. Matt Cannon, I want to come to you, and then Orly, you'll be next. So Matt Cannon, you sent me this flyer, this pricing flyer that you've added to your presentation. Tell us about this. This comes from the Inspire call with Aaron and Emily.
Yeah, exactly. So I didn't make this. The Inspire call was awesome. The people who listen to that call, they know how good that call was. If you're not part of Inspire, you should join it. But yeah, I love data. And I know that as agents, it's a constant struggle to help, convey the pricing strategy to sellers. And so when we heard that call, they listed these 4 things, and I'm thinking to myself, great, this is something you can point to kind of, because people need to take the data and they need to see it, kind of in, some type of format. So my thought is, let me take this and let me put it in a flyer format, right? So the thing is, and this is still new. So my idea is to add this to the listing presentation and to say, "Hey, look, James, there's going to be 4 ways we know how we're positioned within the market. Number 1, we need 3 to 5 showings per week, and this is not open house activity. Number 2, we need buyers coming back for second looks. Number 3, we need positive feedback. And by the way, no feedback is negative feedback. And number 4, we need offers or talk of offers." So I wanted these 4 things in the flyer, and I kind of wanted, the idea is, as we're going through each week, we can see these things, and I either want to have a green light, a yellow light, or a red light, or to have a checkpoint. Yes, we had this and we had that. And so to give you an example, I have 3 listings right now, and they're all, active. And so as you start having this conversation, I went to, one of my sellers and said, "Hey, so we were talking about price," and I started talking about, well, so far we've averaged 1.5 showings per week. We should be having 3 to 5. We had no buyers coming back for it. So we started going on this list, and by the time we got to number 4, he's like, "Okay, let's go ahead and reduce the price." I'm like, "Okay, perfect." So based on this, we are positioned, this percentage off at least or more. So that's the idea, is to let them know about it in the listing appointment. And this is something we can review, every week when we're having price discussion.
That's great. We will share that in the Inspire portal. So Inspire members, you'll get access to what Matt and his wife created there so that you can use it too. I love that you're teaching them this up front and then they're coming to you for the price reduction. You're training them. If we don't have these things, then we're going to have to reduce it. And you've even put in percentages. Hey, we got to reduce it by 5 or 10% depending on where these things fall. And they're coming back to you. It's good. Orly, you're up next. We're talking about the data and how we're sharing it in listing presentations right now. What you got?
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Matt. I just took a screenshot of that because I'm going to incorporate that into my listing appointment. So good for you. That was worth the price of admission today just by itself. So what I do is very simple. I use a toolkit CMA, but you can use any CMA. And I basically say to them, so we're going to look at the actives, which is basically your competition right now. Then we're going to look at the under contracts because that's going to give us an indication of how long it took them to get an offer, if they did it the right way. And last, we're going to look at the solds because that's what the bank appraiser is going to look at, and that's going to give us the entire picture. So as we look at each and every listing, I go over with them, look at this listing. It's been on the market for 67 days. And they had one price reduction. That's the wrong way of doing it. Now look at this other listing that's under contract. They went under contract in 9 days and must have listed it right away. And I would guess that they had multiple offers. Now, when we look at the solds, look at the people that priced it correctly and got 3% over the asking price. So we can do it the right way or we can do it the wrong way. Which way would you like to do it?
So good. Thank you, Orly. Jolie, good morning.
Well, exactly what Orly said. And the reason I raised my hand was what Tulio said with the story. Like, you have to tell them the story. I had a listing that went on the market 2 weeks ago. The pricing could have been, and in Michigan, we're still in a seller's market and it's still all about pricing because the buyers, if it's overpriced, they're just not going to make an offer or they're being really picky. Had a listing that, when we talked about pricing, we talked about 325 or 350. I thought maybe we could get 350 on it, but I was nervous to list it that high because I thought we might miss the mark. We listed it at 325, ended up with 7 offers, and we're pending at 356. So the value was there. I used that story on a listing appointment I went on yesterday. Told the story. We did exactly what Orly said. I showed them that there's one active that's been in, it's a really popular neighborhood in like one of the best school districts. And there's a listing. The only active has been on the market for 14 days, which is an eternity for this particular neighborhood. The average is about 4 days. So clearly they're missing the price mark. There was 3 solds. One, we just kind of walked through it. One took about 3 weeks to go under contract and had a price reduction or accepted lower. The other 2 sold really quickly and went over asking. So on this one, we were talking between 800 and 850. I got them to list at 800 as a strategy because I think, could we get to 850? Possibly. But I know that at this point, they're going to be at their number that they want to hit, and anything over is gravy.
It's pricing is a strategy. It's not about value. It's all about strategy. Let's keep it rolling. We got 3 minutes and we got 4 elite hands. So we got to go quick. Rapid fire, lightning round. Jasmine, Ronnie, Jean, and Maria. Go ahead, Jasmine.
Good morning. So my listing appointment was actually my first listing, which turned out to be an expired listing because as a new agent, I took it and it was overpriced. We started at $849. We expired at $739. I was able to go to him and he actually came to me and said, hey, I want to do off market now. I'm going to pay you 3%. And I was like, okay. My mentor, Louise Wise, South Florida, she said, do a seller net sheet. So I did a seller net sheet. And then I did a second seller net sheet. So here's 3%, and you'll net 560. If we do 5% or 5.5, and you pay 3 and 2.5, this is what you're gonna net. And now we're on the market, and the market, we're supposed to be the CMA, we're supposed to be listed at 700. I convinced him to list at 625. We've already had 5 saves. We've been on the market for 48 hours. So really that was my listing strategy, is literally let's get multiple offers and go under contract.
Yeah, that's it. Let's drive the price up based on pricing it right from the start. Ronnie, good morning.
Good morning, James. So thank you so much. So people say you don't have any material, blah, blah. Anyway, moral of this story is this: the people that are geniuses on here that are doing this are the geniuses because they get it. And what they get is this. What I shared on Pivot and what you did on, I think it was Monday, whatever, last Monday. Anyone on this call could go to Orlando Regional Realtor Association or FloridaRealtors.org and get the statistics. Guess what? Your buyers, sellers, and investors have this data, and if you're not using it, they're using it against you. Please, please, please use the tools that you have available.
No doubt about that. Gene Jarman, good morning.
Good morning. All of this conversation about pricing, there is a setup to this that works well with many sellers. If you reverse engineer their timeline, then it makes more sense to them in terms of what they need to consider. So let's say you're in a 60 days on market time frame. And you look at your seller and you say, what's your ideal selling time or closing time? And he says, I need to close by August 31st. Okay, what happens if you don't close by then? Do you have contingency plans? Do you have a backup plan? At what point in the future does this start to hurt? Does it hurt at Thanksgiving? Does it hurt at Halloween? At what point in time does that hurt? All right, so let's say August 31st is your ideal closing date. We know contract to close is 30 days plus. So let's back that up to the end of July. We need at least 5 days to get you staged and photography. So let's back that up now to July 25th. Between today and July 25th, we don't have 60 days on market. We only have 40. So,
and we need to know how many homes are selling a month in that neighborhood so we know how to price it right, Gene?
Yep. So now we need to know which of these homes sold faster than the average days on market so that you can actually make your target date of 7/31, because if we don't hit a contract by 7/31, we don't hit a closing date on 8/31.
Genius. Genius. Maria Sims, you get the last word. Good morning.
Good morning. I love that. I was going to talk about your days on the market needing to match their motivation right now, because we're seeing a huge difference. I know you guys I'm sure everyone's dealing with all the tough situations right now, death, divorce, all the D's that they talked about. But it's our job to take the emotions out of pricing, right? And so for us, having the knowledge and the skills and the data to take those emotions out. So what we do is an interactive CMA. So they help us price it, and they will actually have a little sheet from what appraisers make adjustments for. And so we're like, hey, we're going to, your house is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. Now this comp said it is a 4-bedroom. Do you mind looking and telling me? Now I already know the answer, but do you mind telling me how much an appraiser gives for 1 bedroom? And they're like, oh, we have to take away $5,000, and so they help me make the adjustments. So at the end of the pricing, they're like, wow, we're priced at $739. And I'm like, that's what it's adjusted to. And I always remind them that's correct. However, your motivation, just like the previous lady said, you need to be gone. So in order to match your timeline, we need to price you at 725 or below.
Strategy, folks. It's not about how much do you think we can get or how much you think it's worth. It's all about strategy. And Gene gave it to you, and Maria gave it to you, and Tulio gave it to you, and Lee gave it to you, and Matt gave you the strategy on how to walk them through a reduction. It's all right there. This is a great call. This is really good shares on this call. Inspire members, we'll take any of the documents that we got today and we'll upload them in the portal here today, so you'll have access to them. We also, Inspire members, have a really great call today at noon Eastern on seller seminars. It's coming off my conversation with Angela Hudson last week about, she did a seller seminar, one seller seminar, took like an hour and a half, got 10 listings out of it. 10! Like, what if you were taking listings in groups like that? So Inspire members, noon Eastern. It's a true mastermind, so you want to be on that live if you can. Everybody else, we're back and better than ever tomorrow, where we're going to start to look at objections that come up in listing presentations and how you can overcome them. Thanks for being here. You got your inspiration. Go put in the perspiration. See some of you at noon, the rest of you tomorrow morning. Bye-bye.
Thank you, James.
You got it, Betty.
Thanks, James.